Fiance's family banned me from our home after he dies. I'm going to preface this by saying that brevity is not my strong point, sorry. It was hard to know what to include since there's a lot of backstory. If nothing else, writing this felt good because it was a very traumatic time, and getting it off my chest is helpful. Hopefully no one thinks I'm the entitled one. Also, I'm not sure how well this fits in this sub since it's really about an entire entitled family. If you know somewhere it would be better suited for, let me know. So, my fiancé, N, died very unexpectedly in 2016, at the age of 35. I was 26 at the time. We lived together in a house on a few acres. I'd lived there for a couple years, and he had lived there most of his life. N's grandfather built the house, and when his grandparents died, the house was willed to their 6 children, one of whom was N's mother. When N's mother died, her share was willed to N and his 2 siblings. So N was a partial owner of the home. His aunt, R, also lived there. She was mentally unstable in many ways I won't get into, except to say that she was a serious hoarder. Consequently, the house was in disrepair. Honestly, it was not fit to be lived in and could have easily been condemned, but it was a rough time. Please spare your judgment if you can. N and I were in the process of getting an apartment when he died. Since N and R were the only partial owners living there, they paid all the property taxes, and for repairs, etc. I contributed too after I moved in. It's not like N and I were just squatting there or something. A couple months before N died, R had some health issues that resulted in her being hospitalized and then moving into an apartment. That's when the entitled family, N's aunts, uncles, and cousins, swooped in and started demanding that we move out so they could sell the property. Okay, fine. We were planning on moving anyway. They were really unrealistic about the timeline though. At one point they insisted that since we were low income, all we needed to do was contact the government TM, they weren't sure what department, and they'd just give us a small house and some land. That's how out of touch with reality these people were. They'd just show up in the house whenever they wanted, which I guess legally was their right, but it's also pretty rude and entitled to just come into someone's home on a regular basis without even speaking to them while you're there, much less letting them know beforehand. Anyway, when N died, they were unabashedly elated. 2 days after he died, I was at the house collecting some of my things when I got a text from his sister, who is an angel, so we'll call her as, saying that they'd messaged his out-of-state uncle's wife, asking her to message as about me because God forbid anyone be direct. Apparently they wanted me banned from the property immediately. We'd been living in sin, and now that N was gone, I had no reason or right to be there. I was devastated. At that point I wanted to take everything he'd ever touched and scoop it up and hold it close to me forever. I couldn't bear the thought of not being able to have anything of his. As an afterthought, I realized all of my stuff was also still there. Luckily, Ez stuck up for me and said I could be there as long as I wanted. She lives across the country though, so she couldn't do much to enforce it. The most egregious display of disgusting entitlement/general assholishness happened a couple days later. I was at the house, frantically trying to load up the car with the things that made up the life that N and I shared together, which was taxing both physically and emotionally. I was crying when N's cousin, EC, appeared in our bedroom.
Smiling like I'm an old friend she just ran into each other at Costco. Hey. Isn't this crazy? N died so suddenly. He was fine a few days ago.
Through tears, yeah. It was very unexpected.
Laughing, I know. Well, at least we can sell this dump now.
It's then that I hear people talking and laughing in the next room. Apparently EC had brought her teenage daughter and several of her daughter's friends to gawk at the house. Our home, where we lived and loved, was being openly mocked with zero regard for my feelings.
So when do you think you'll be gone?
I'm not sure. I'd like to get as much of N's stuff as possible, and has asked me to get some of their mom's things.
Frowning, well, I guess I'll have to talk to Az about that. Their mom is the reason this place is so run down, you know. Laughing again, I don't see why Az would want any of this garbage.
Note that this is blatantly false, as the house had been in pristine condition until N's mother died and R's hoarding worsened to the point that N could not keep up with it. Also, there were plenty of keepsakes and heirlooms that were not at all garbage. I'm sort of dumbfounded by this whole exchange and way too emotionally drained to deal with it, so I just get back to what I was doing. Later that night, EC's sister messaged me asking what I'd done with R's box of plastic horses. R wanted them back immediately. Of course, I had not taken it. Why would I want a box of plastic horses? Hint, I would not. I elected not to reply. After that, they got more aggressive about me not being there because A was a plastic horse thief. N was an artist by trade, and they started just throwing away all of his drawings and taking some of the more valuable figurines he had. The last day I was there, my mom went with me. After getting the last of what I could, I just wanted to walk around the house one last time and sort of say goodbye to the place we'd spent so much time together in, a place I'd never be again. Of course, the family showed up, and my mom tried to calmly explain that I would be out soon and would not return. She tried to appeal to their sense of humanity by explaining how traumatized I was from his death and how I just needed this for some semblance of closure, but his aunt got in her face and lectured her about how N was in hell and I'd be going there too. Then my mom, who somehow managed not to knock her teeth out, reminded her that Az had told me I could be there. The aunt responded by calling the police to have me forcibly removed. We left before the police arrived, and now that's my final memory of the place where the most amazing man I've ever known taught me how to love. I'm sorry it's a bit anticlimactic, but this really was cathartic for me to write. If you've read this far, I sincerely thank you. Edit, wow. I posted this before work, and I come back to this outpouring of love and support. I wish I had time to reply to each and every comment, but just know that your condolences are very much appreciated. Also, thank you for my first silver and gold. A couple things I want to clarify. I'm a woman. The living in sin comments were just about us living together before marriage. He died of either sepsis or a pulmonary embolism. The hospital said one thing, the me said another. I appreciate everyone saying I may have had legal recourse, but at the time, my entire life and all my future plans had been ripped away from me. It was not worth spending the little energy I had to try to drag it out any further. His sister and brother were his legal next of kin, and he did not have a will. Since his sister told me to get all of his and their mom's things, I was never worried about them coming after me for stealing any of it.